Hello, myself Sunil Ramakrishnan here, and this is basically the 201 part, basically which is on. So in this basically video, we are going to discuss little bit about the brief of the 200 part, which we basically discussed in 200 part. So the point was basically one word. Basically, it was a new word, and this was a new word which was created by Tamil industry. Sorry, it's not industry; it's Tamil language and Sanskrit group. So they basically created this new word. So just see basically how dangerous the world basically is, and to do the verification up to what level basically the each and every groups goes. So Tamil language basically was before the first king of the world, that was basically Sir John, and he basically was the king of the world, and that basic sorry the first king of the world, and before that the language is basically existing. So language basically exists, this Tamil and Sanskrit language exists before this Sir John's king basic kingdom started. So like this the Sanskrit word and Tamil word basically was new word, basic kupi chupi basically was the word, and that was basically introduced. So this was the word basically kupi chupi, and this was the word basically which was introduced by Sanskrit and Tamilians. Sorry, Tamil language basically. In Sanskrit language and in Tamil language basically. And both are basically by default one. Why? Because it's a Indian language, right? It's a Indian language. Tamil is basically by default Indian language. So Tamilians are basically Indian, right? They are not by outside India, right? Sanskrit, that is also Indian language. That is also Indian language, right? And basically almost the whole world basically created on the base of these two languages. And before Tamil and Sanskrit language, there was one word, there was one symbolic word that basically was the one of the language which was basically spoken by the old people before the Tamil and before the Sanskrit group. Basically, they created the language. So the Sanskrit and Tamil language basically was created. That is basically by default. Before that, there was the one symbolic language which was basically spoken by the set of groups. That also basically we will be going to discuss which are those groups, and they're basically having some certain level of designs. For example, there are around 2,900 designs. Assume that they have 2,900 designs that were basically the symbols, and on the base of these 2,900 symbols, the Tamil language and the Sanskrit language basically got introduced. So Tamilian language basically, if anybody tries to understand basically, and if anybody tries to track actually the base of the language, then basically they will 100% will reach to Tamil and Sanskrit language. Beyond that, basically they are not going to reach. But beyond that, that is the symbolic language, and symbolic language basically are connected with the set of symbols, and symbols are basically connected. Their count is of 2,900, and this 2,900 basically are set of designs in universe. In universe design, in universe means in sky, basically it's one design, and there are basically 2,900 designs which are basically drawn by the satellites groups, and that basically design contains set of planets, galaxies, and set of satellites. So this was the main thing basically. And basically now here the question is basically which all symbols basically are connected with the Tamil language, and which are symbols are basically connected with the Sanskrit language. And Sanskrit basically are spoken by whom? That are basically by default Brahmins. And in Tamil basically also Brahmins are there. So here the question is basically Tamil and Brahman, and then basically the Sanskrit and Tamil. So both are basically connected with each other. If any task basically these two groups want to do, then basically they will become one and they will achieve the task. For example, for example, assume that in from Earth planet they want to finish one generation. Assume that. So these two basically are groups are going to become one, and they are going to finish the generation, and Earth planet exist after that. After that, Earth planet is 100% going to exist. That basically everybody knows. So if any generation basically want to exist, sorry, if any the generation want to finish, then basically they finish through combination of these two groups. So basically, it's you can say it's a union of this group. By chance, if some group basically created some problem, this two group basically created some problem, and they basically by chance they finished some generation which basically was not supposed to finish. Then basically, what is going to happen? That is basically the big question. What is going to happen this to these two groups? This type of situation has happened or it's not happened, that basically, for example, as on today, that is basically 8th of July, till now basically has this type of incidents happened, not happened, because time is already moving, right? Plus, so it's that's why basically I told happened. So like this basically the Earth planet is moving, the generations are moving, Tamil and Sanskrit languages are there, both generation are moving. So both generation are moving, you can say. So Tamil basically assume that they have created around 20,000 caste, and Sanskrit basically also created 20,000 caste. Like this, 40,000 caste basically created by these two groups. 40,000 caste created by these two groups. And assume that there are basically the symbolic language group basically. They also created a few tasks. That caste basically related to that caste, this group basically don't know. This group don't know. That basically caste are directly connected with the universe group. That are basically the symbolic language group. And that symbolic language basically contains set of planets and set of galaxies. So if any generation basically is going to end, then basically without symbolic language permission, this is not going to end, right? The generation is not going to end because these two basically are directly connected with this symbolic language group. So each and every universe basically, and Earth planet is basically one of the planet which is moving within this symbol only. Within this symbol only basically. Assume that basically there are 2,900 symbol, and Earth planet is moving in 2,819 2899th symbol. It's moving in 2900 2900, sorry, 2899. So in this symbol basically a symbol, the Earth planet is moving. So you can just imagine the power of the symbolic groups, because our planet is one of the small planet and it's moving in the symbol in universe. So you can just imagine the power of the power of the symbolic language groups, and that basically mostly basically, as I understand, they mostly basically are not in the map also. And if they are in the map, then basically mostly they never stays in the Earth planet. They never stays in the, they basically stays in the other than other Earth planet. So for this basically I will take one example. For example, there are basically many people who dies, and then basically this basically Bollywood person basically told me there are basically 20 lakh planets basically which is created by Earth planet group. And in front of public, what is in front of public is We are basically searching the planet to stay in front of public is this. But in real, what Bollywood basically the person told that there are more than 20 lakh planets already created, and there are basically people staying in that planet also. So just imagine the power of universe and the secret basically getting maintained in front of public. Basically sun and moon exist, but in uh, real basically sun moon exists, no, sun moon does not exist. So this is the difference basically between universe group and the earth planet groups, that are basically the planet level groups, who are basically doing the task of planet level, who are doing the task of planet level task. So just see basically the critical and the secret basically information are basically connected. It's basically secret only, right? Because in the books they are telling that there are moon, there are sun, and the main thing is they are telling that also, that in this year basically the one of the person basically from our planet has visited the moon also. That also basically they are telling. So up to 100% confidence basically the moon exists, that example also they are giving. And they are displaying the photo also, that this is the person. So you can just imagine basically, if moon does not exist, sun does not exist, then basically who was that person basically who went to the moon, he is telling that, and which basically area basically he visited. So these all are basically the secrets basically you can say. And this basically secrets, NASA and ISRO basically groups might be 100% knowing that sun does not exist, moon does not exist. But there also basically they are telling that the sun solar system basically we are trying to reach that sun, and we have collected this whole information of the sun, and we collected the temperature also of the sun. So that also. So in basically NASA and ISRO basically there might be few groups basically. And I will take one more example of the NASA and ISRO. For example, uh, assume that tomorrow the satellite is going to launch. Tomorrow the satellite is going to launch. Just see basically the secret information basically. Tomorrow the satellite is going to launch. But in real basically the satellite has reached to that area basically which was is supposed to reach long before only. It was reached long before only. So there are basically many secrets basically in front of the NASA and ISRO also. So in front of NASA and ISRO there are many secrets. That is basically I have told the example that the satellite basically which was supposed to launch tomorrow, that is basically already placed in that place basically where the satellite is basically sorry, the satellite is supposed to launch. So you can just imagine basically the in front of public and not in front of public. So the it's a basically you can say in front of public education basically you can say, and not in front of the public education. There are basically so basically that's why the banking industry is so critical and so critical. Why basically the reason is this only. The banking industry knows that what is in front of world and what is not, and banking industry knows that there is no like sun, there is no like moon, and who basically went to the moon, that this whole thing basically, and lots of things are basically there, because they want to get the exact picture, right? They want the exact picture. They want the exact picture. So here basically we were discussing what the word basically which introduced in Tamil language and Sanskrit language, and that word basically was spoken by that word basically spreaded to the entire world, 59 languages, and was getting processed, and why basically that was getting processed to each and every words in the world, that basically we have already discussed, right, in 2 3 parts before of the video. So like this, the word basically got introduced. The word basically got introduced in front of the environment. The word still basically nobody knows that there is word like kupi chupi. There is no word like kupi chupi. There is no word like Upi Chupi, and this was spoken by Tamil language and Sanskrit language, which basically created the whole world. And many people says that entire Europe basically are created by Tamil group. Entire Europe basically, not entire basically, because entire group creation also basically might create problem. That's why basically the entire Europe was not created by Tamil group. Few part basically was created by Tamil groups. Why? Because Tamil and Sanskrit group basically was created by one of the symbolic language group. One of the symbolic language group. So you can just imagine the dangerous thing also basically you can say. Dangerous thing also basically you can say. So nowadays basically the education is also basically got into business basically, right? Nowadays education also basically is connected with the business. For example, one person is having lots of knowledge basically in software delivery, and he can basically easily handle the entire software company also. But basically he was not having the degree, so he was basically not getting the job, the top level management job. He was not getting the top level management job. Why? Because he was not having the degree. That's why. But this was the only reason. That's why basically the education system basically has converted into the business. Totally purely business. Totally purely business. So this is basically business, right? Tamil language and Sanskrit language. This is business only, right? Tamil language and Sanskrit language basically created the entire world. So this is business only. And Tamil and Sanskrit language basically was introduced on the base of the certain symbolic language. That basically many less people might be knowing this, but basically it's in front of the public also. In front of the public also, it's that there is like symbolic language which created the Sanskrit and Tamil language, and that. But many less people might be knowing that the symbolic language which is inside the book and it which created the Tamil language and the Sanskrit language, that book is basically directly connected with the universe. And here basically we have taken one example of 2900 symbolic language. Sorry, symbolic symbol basically you can say 2000 symbol, not symbolic language basically. You can say as language also basically. Why? Because one symbol contains more than crores of planets and more than crores of galaxies. So you can just imagine the future plan basically the universe group has planned for Earth planet. So there are lots of future plan. Basically, the universe group has already planned for the Earth planet. So I will take one example of the lots of people says that this person basically you can treat as a god basically. Why? I will take one example. There is one person basically ongoing, and they told that see this person basically is a data science god. This person basically which you are seeing the person basically is walking in the road, that person is basically the data science god. Then basically he thought why basically he's telling that because he was having the entire information of the each and every data science project, and he was basically he basically knows that which project is basically containing which type of data science project basically, which data science project basically is having which type of data. That's why basically he was telling that see this person basically he is the god of data science. And few people says that see basically that person basically he knows each and every planet's information. So he is basically the god of earth planet basically. He is the god of earth planet. So he's the god of Earth planet because he have the each and every information of the planets in universe. For example, the symbolic language is there. 29,000, sorry, 2900 symbols are there. Each symbol contains crores of planet, and that person basically that person sorry that that he's the basically he is the god of the Earth planet. He's the god of the Earth because he's having the lots of planets information. He's having the symbolic information. He exactly know that which planet is basically going to affect which blood cells. Which planet is going to affect which blood cells. So he basically was knowing that if we connect these blood cells in this person's body, then basically he will be the master of mathematics. He will be master of mathematics. So that's basically connects to the magic of the study. Basically, also you can say magic of the study because he was not knowing anything in the mathematics. Suddenly, basically, he was doing perfect things basically in the mathematics because was the reason was the universe person basically suddenly activated that blood cells which was connected with that mathematics planets, and his body basically directly connected with this mathematics sorry the mathematics creation planets, which was basically only having the mathematics related energies in that planet, so that connected to his body basically. So he become the master of the mathematics. He become the master of the mathematics. Now, basically, one of the person told that he is the master of the English. He is the master of the English. So he is the master of the English. Then basically, one person told that few people basically speak the English, and suddenly basically they get heart attacks. They get basically head chakkar, and basically they suddenly falls down. So what might be the reason basically? Can you please tell that? Then the Bollywood person basically told that the reason is basically I have taken one example of the one word basically which was introduced in front of the world, but in front of the energies basically, but few words basically was not able to connect to that new word. So that assume that in English basically that energy that new word basically connected, but few 500 words basically sorry assume that 1,000 words was not able to connect to that new word basically 1,000 words. So now basically whenever the person is going to speak that new word, and after that basically if he suddenly speaks that 1,000 words, one of the 1,000 words, then basically 100% will be going to connect to disease. And few words are so dangerous, very dangerous that basically it connects to the heart attack. So basically this basically science group knows that this is basically science only, right? This is the science only and this is basically the medical system basically you can say. That's why basically the medical group basically knows each and everything basically, that which words is supposed to speak by after which word, and which word is supposed to speak before which word. So that's why basically he's told that that's why basically that one of the person told that he's the god of the English. He's the god of the English. Why? Because he knows the each and every word basically which is what he's supposed to speak before and after. So he have the entire dictionary basically you can say. He have the entire dictionary. He have the entire dictionary of the words. Sorry, not basically you can say words. Set of words also basically you can say that there are basically more than 1 crore words basically in this world. There are more than 1 crore words. So you can just imagine the combination basically how it might be handling. How basically they might be handling the combination that after this word is not supposed to spoken, and after that word this word is not supposed to spoken. It's a 1 crore combination, right? So 1 crore combination multiply by 1 crore, so you can just imagine the combination level basically it gets increasing, and basically suddenly basically it got complicated. So anybody basically speaks, suddenly basically it converts to the heart attacks. And this basically, this word will, sometime basically he gets head checker also. Then basically few people says that this is basically the some basically he was basically having some uh, energy. He was not able to. He was his body was basically tired. That's why he basically got head checker, and suddenly he fall down. And heart attack basically, if, that basically many people says that that was basically the cholesterol basically got in that got increased. That was cholesterol basically it got increased. So you can just imagine the critical level basically the world basically already has reached. And there are basically the 59,000 sorry 5,900 languages. So basically if anybody any of the universe basically groups no, gets the information that this type of thing basically is ongoing in the world, then basically you can just imagine. But this will never happen. Why? The data basically which is passed by to the Earth planet, that universe group only pass, and that is very dangerous. Why? Because each and every universe group basically have the control of Earth planet. If they feels, if they feels that Earth planet is going to create problem to them, to the entire universe, then basically within second basically the Earth planet might get in problem. But this basically very rare happens. Why? Because I will tell you. Because the Earth planet has basically created for some certain level of task, and has basically and already basically they have connected with 2,900 symbolic language, and from this language basically sorry it's, 2,900 symbolic language also you can say, and 2,900 symbolic groups also basically you can say. And that basically created two language, one is Tamil and one is Sanskrit. That is basically the in front of world, and they basically created 59 languages, and they basically created the whole world. Like this the whole world created. Like this the whole world created. Basically we have taken one example of the TCS, TCS also, CRM project. CRM project basically we have taken the example. Company owner basically was knowing that company owner basically was knowing that his brain basically was connected up to this level. His brain basically was connected up to this level, right? His brain basically was connected up to this level. And that basically example we have already saw that what TCS basically got the one CRM project, and how basically the CRM project was the first project basically introduced in the market. And like this basically we have saw lots of things basically. So you can just imagine the things basically has reached. And here the main thing basically is the Bollywood groups, which basically knows each and everything basically. Why? Because they have to display each and everything in front of the world. Reality basically they have to display. Whatever basically the bad fact is, but they have to display, right? If they will not display, then basically in future they are only going to get problem. That why basically this was not displayed. And Bollywood groups are basically the most powerful group also basically we can say, because they have full power, right? Bollywood groups in front of the world basically, lots of people say that Mumbai is basically the Bollywood industry, right? But that is in front of the world, right? So I will tell one thing basically, whatever the in front of world it is, that is not the correct thing. In front of the world is sun moon exist. In front of the world is Bollywood group basically, entire Bollywood group is in Mumbai. So it's not right that, it's not right. All writers, all producers basically mostly basically are not from Mumbai, right? But the name basically given is Mumbai. So in future basically if anything happens, that is going to happen to Mumbai only. So by chance, if anything happens to Mumbai, that means it's directly targeted to Bollywood industry. That is directly targeted to Bollywood industry. That is directly targeted to Bollywood industry. that is directly targeted to the Bollywood industry. So like this, basically the entire Bollywood groups are having the problem as in that, facing the problem. So by default, basically the which groups are not in front of the world, so they will be 100% knowing this basically that something problem is happening in the Bollywood. That means they are, it's directly affecting to them, going to affect to them, right? So going to affect to them, that basically connects to lots of things. This basically connects to one more example. One of the God family basically, one of the God family, one of the God family basically created. He basically was facing some problem in 15 blood cells, and in 15 blood cells basically he was facing the problem. So for that basically he created around 150 human souls and placed in USA. And USA is basically the most healthy city. Sorry, most, it's not city, USA. USA is not city, USA is country. So it's basically this placed in USA basically, because USA basically is having the human clone business. This has converted into business. So what are the basically disadvantage of this business? That basically also we are going to see. Like this basically the business basically started. So first basically that person basically was knowing that first the USA was knowing that this disease basically is going to have. So according to that basically the blood cells was checked, and then basically he was getting the medicine also. And that medicine was sent to the Indian government, because most of God families are staying where? They are staying in India only basically. They are not staying in Ireland. They are not staying in Bali. They are not staying in Indonesia. They are not staying in the Dubai. They are not staying in the Saudi. They are not staying in the Israel. They are not staying in the Iraq. They are not staying in the Abu Dhabi. They are not staying like in this basically, right? So everybody knows that how many gods are there basically, and their family basically are basically getting the up to level security basically, yes, up to level. So this is the best example basically, because to create one human clone basically takes more than 7 to 8 thousand crore rupees. So one human clone cost basically 7 to 8 thousand crore. So that basically USA prepares that data basically, right? Which data basically is the requirement. According to that, basically they prepare the human clone. So nowadays, basically, it's very difficult to difficult to know that this person basically which is going in the road, he is human or it's a human clone. It's very difficult, right? Because human clones are basically handled by the software industry. That is basically through the computers. Set of process basically has dumped into his body, and these basically 100% going to do that process only. And that process basically slowly connects into the habit, slowly connects into the habit. So he's going to do that only. Habit basically have human also. The person basically who gets birth from the mother's body, he also basically have the habits. But here the difference is habit can be controlled by the normal person. But human clone basically it's very difficult to control, because the process is already happened, and lots of things basically has happened from the human clone software. So like this, basically you can just imagine the business industry also reached. So in this, basically the banks are directly connected because they are doing the transactions. So 8,000 crore, which is going to transfer from India or from any of the country to USA. So that's basically getting transferred to the bank only, right? So they are basically earning lots of money. So this basically business, they basically told that this is a perfect permanent business. So like this, basically they started doing this business. And what is the disadvantage and what is the advantage, that also basically we are going to see in some certain videos basically, that what actually human clone body creates, because each and everything basically, even basically the human body also creates problem in the earth planet. And not in creating the not creating the problem in the Earth planet also. So that connects to basically lots of things. Basically, there are advantages also and there are disadvantages also of each and everything. Basically, right? Each and everything basically is connected with each and every process. Basically, you do each and everything basically you creates that basically connects to basically set of advantages and set of disadvantages. Set of advantages and set of disadvantages. So you can just imagine basically here basically the subscription plan group basically uh, they basically just say take gets the data and set of things basically happens. So previously basically we were discussing that the topic basically main topic actually we forget five groups basically connected to that disease. And then basically the software industry, one of the person also, that was basically a sixth person, software industry person basically, they connected with that. That person basically connected with the blood cells. And he was basically having all types of knowledge. He was basically having all types of knowledge. All types of knowledge means construction knowledge basically he was having. Construction means software is construction. Then basically he's connected, he was now having this all basically knowledge basically each and every people of the software industry basically who are basically into the director levels they basically know right that text box basically is created from the thousand cities that this all are basically the normal thing for the directors and for the CEOs and vice president of the software industry because they are up to that level basically right they have reached up to that level then basically each and everything basically they understand. And USA basically each and every kids basically. Kids means they basically enters into the software industry. They basically also know that text box is created from the thousand cities because that's why basically it's a US. Na. But lots of people says that USA is basically just in front of the world. So that thing is also there basically. That thing is also there. So there are lots of possibilities basically we can say. Here the possibility is which type of person basically you are talking with and which type of person basically you are dealing with. That is the main thing. According to that only basically you can handle the thing basically, right? According to that only basically you can handle the stuff. So like this basically there are lots of things basically. Then basically the software industry basically connected with that disease. And that disease also basically was hidden by the one of the software industry group basically. He told that we have created lots of hard work. We have created thousand cities just to create one text box. So we don't want war because they know that if any the thing basically which was tracked the new disease that is 100% going to connect to the war only. So they told that we also want peace and for that basically they have done lots of things for that they have done lots of things and this everything is already happened right because once the time basically passed you can't do anything once the time is passed you can't do anything so this all thing basically the software industry group basically who are connected with the energy groups they knows that this was basically the new energy which connected suddenly and which was not tracked that means it's a problem only big problem. So that person also basically died. They also done the hidden thing basically. Same way basically the fifth five groups basically has done that. That was basically hidden by the USA group. But the problem was basically why it was not getting tracked in the software. And everybody knows that software is connected with power supply chain and nuclear power company and assume that there are 15 servers in this world. For example, IBM, Microsoft, like this Compaq, HP, like this basically there are around 15 servers. Just taking as an example. In real basically there are 1500 basically. But that are not in front of the public, right? So assume that it's a 15 servers basically which was not able to track that blood cells information. So that's why basically we are stopping here, that the blood cells was information was not tracked by that 15 servers. So this is basically 200 one part. 202 basically we are going to discuss why basically that server basically was 15 server basically was not able to track that disease. Due to that basically six people died, and that basically death reason was not defined in the death certificate. This basically we are going to discuss why the reason was not written, and what was the reason behind the death, and why it was not tracked by the medical industry that is connected with the 15 servers.